Welcome everyone to the 40th episode of Conversations with T. This is your host T, and I'm back with Miss Keyona Akil, who has been featured in my podcast several times in the past. If you don't know who Key is, then let me give you guys a quick introduction. She used to be a self-development coach who specialized in trauma. She offered one-to-one sessions to women who struggled with trauma management, and Key used her platform to educate her audience about the topics she was passionate about. She also worked at a hotel for a while as a front desk receptionist. She's currently a stay-at-home mom and she's been busy taking care of and raising her son. I'm so excited to have her back on my show and thank you for joining me, Key. How have you been?
Thank you for having me. I have been riding that roller coaster of motherhood, learning a lot about not just another human being, but myself. I am
Mm,
looking forward to his first birthday so I can celebrate myself and my husband for keeping a human alive for 12 months. But I've been great. I've been great.
Alhamdulillah. For today's episode, I want to have a discussion with you about the topic of fake friends. I feel as though there's a lot to say about this subject, but I still want to hear your thoughts regardless. Let's start talking about the psychology of these people. Why do some friends act fake? Like, what are the common reasons for them to pretend to like you and whatnot?
That's a really interesting question. A lot of people come into friendships with their own intentions, I believe.
Mm,
I think that certain people they choose friends because they want something out of that friendship, or they choose friends because maybe they think it will make them look or feel a certain way being associated with um that group of people. And I
mm,
think that's a behavior that we learn very early on in early adolescence when we go to school,
mm,
because you are divided into groups. You have like the popular people, the unpopular people, and at an early age, it's like a societal pressure to want to fit in with the popular people.
mm,
So whether you are, you naturally possess the qualities that the popular people have, or you're quote unquote a nerd or whatever terms your environment labels people that are like not the coolest of people. There's always a desire of wanting to be liked by people, and I
mm,
think it starts very early with just wanting to be liked by our family, our parents, and then we go out to school and we want to be liked by our peers. So
mm,
I think some people learn to facade or to fake who they are to represent themselves as something that they're not, to be
mm,
liked by certain people or to get something out of certain people. And I think that's like the basis of certain like fake friendships, that it really comes from just wanting something out of someone or wanting to be someone that you're not, and you know that you can live that lifestyle if you are friends with the people that actually live that lifestyle, if that makes sense.
mm. I do agree that it's normal for us to want to feel liked and accepted by others, but when can this become toxic, in your opinion?
It becomes toxic when you are not true to yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
when you allow these friendships to define who you are, and
Mm-hmm.
when you are living a cognitive dissonance of your own morals, what you how you really should be, but you are bending, you're folding um to accommodate friends or to be liked by friends. That's when it's toxic, because you're losing yourself in that friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about friendships that we don't really talk about, or that we don't really consider, is like we put such a big burden on our romantic relationships and even our family relationships. But any type of relationship that two or more people are getting into, it takes commitment, loyalty, it takes honesty, it takes the same components it takes to maintain a romantic relationship. It takes that with a friendship. And I think we downplay our friendships and don't realize that we have to be our true self, we have to communicate, we have to set boundaries, all those type of things with our friendships. But when it comes to fake friendships, like, people lose themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
lose themselves trying to hold on to something that really they should not have established, in my opinion.
Mm. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me. There may be scenarios where a friend may generally like you as a person, but he or she doesn't want to be seen near you or be known to have a connection with you. This stems from their insecurity of wanting to fit in and have a bunch of people like them or think they're cool. You on
Mm-hmm.
the other hand are different, and pretty much everyone knows that. You're not too bothered about what other people think, and you find it easier to enjoy being yourself, even though that's
Mm-hmm.
useful. What can happen is that you start feeling invisible and insignificant whenever you're on this friend and inverted commas. Your friend picks other people over you because being liked or accepted by the popular or high status people in inverted commas, that's their way of feeling valid. Do you
Mm-hmm.
agree, disagree? What are your thoughts on that?
While you were talking, I was thinking that we throw that term friend around so loosely. I think
Mhm.
friend is a term that should be earned. And I realized when I was like a teenager, I threw that term friend around loosely. And now looking back, certain people I thought were my friends were really my associates. And they
Mm,
were my associates because a certain proximity brought us together, whether it was work, school, summer camp, whatever. And when I realized that I should compartmentalize certain people in my life and understand, like, okay, I have a relationship with them. It's kind of like a friend, but I don't feel like a friend and they're not treating me as a friend. Oh, they're my associate. That's what allowed me to kind of like not be so bothered by certain people and their behaviors. So I
mm,
think with that scenario, if I were that person, I would really kind of take a step back and assess, is this truly my friend? My,
mm,
who I envision my friend to be would not be doing this to me. So is this really my friend? And if this is not my friend, do I like them or want to be around them enough to kind of drop them down the totem pole, so to speak, in our relationship where we're just associates? When we're in that environment where they want to give me attention and spend time with me, cool. But I know what environments to not be with them in because I know they will treat me this way. Or do I not want to be friends with them at all because I don't want them to be able to pick and choose how they're going to treat me. So
mm,
I would really assess that relationship. Is this really a friend?
mm.
Yep.
And you know what I find very unfortunate? I expect this fitting in behavior from teenagers, but even some adults do it. And a possible explanation for that is they themselves struggle to fit in when they were in school, and they continue looking for that validation which they didn't get from their peers, some people they meet later on. And
Right.
yeah, do you want to expand more of that?
Now I was just agreeing with you because I feel like with friendships as you get older, there's like a type of social currency. Like if you just were to, even if you're not an avid reality TV type of person, but if you were just to sit back and just from an observation standpoint, research standpoint, just look at reality TV and see how these reality celebrities engage with friendships and
Mm,
the gossip and the cattiness that's a part of their storyline that makes viewers want to continue to watch their show. It's
mm,
like their friendships give them this type of social currency.
mm,
It adds pizzazz to their persona. So I
mm,
think as adults, while why it's a very adolescent behavior to go through, why it kind of travels into adulthood, it's because now it's been like such an embedded an embedded interaction with peers that now is like, okay, I can build my reputation off of this. I can get some type of leverage off of this. So I just see it as just being some type of social currency now.
yeah, and this is a bit off topic, but I'm curious to know, since you're a parent now, mashallah,
Mm-hmm.
and would you say one of the biggest fears a parent can have is their child mixing and trying to fit in with the wrong people?
Oh, for sure. Because that was a concern that my mom had. And my mom drilled into me at a very early age that while it's great to have friends, you don't necessarily need them. They should be a want, because if you feel like you need them, you don't know what you will do out of desperation to have them. So especially when I reached like that middle school age from like 12 to 14, she knew that that was the age where peer pressure is a lot stronger than when you're in primary school.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had a lot of conversations with me about friendships and being liked by people and the pressures that may come with being friends, and just remembering how I was raised, remembering the principles that I stand on, and not wavering. Because if a person truly wants to be my friend, they will accept who I am, and I would not feel like I have to change myself to be friends with someone. And for her to be telling me that at a time period now that I look back and think like friendships really wasn't that hard in my opinion with my experience, being in school. But with everything that's going on like now in society, especially if my son were to go to public school, I would definitely be trying to have a conversation with him, just reminding him like, you don't have to do this for someone to like you. You don't have to do this, to make friends. And I would definitely would be making a lot of prayer, like praying for my son to make the right choices, because um there have been people that have gotten caught up in crimes because
Mm,
they were associated with friends, or they did something like a drug, or they just did something that they didn't naturally want to do because they were influenced by their friends. So I want to teach my sons to have confidence and a backbone, and
mm,
to be okay with being alone, and to know that you make the choice in choosing your friends. Your friends, but granted, we both choose. I want to be your friend, you want to be my friend, but to make it one-sided and feel like you got to be chosen, like, no, that's not how it goes. You have to choose too. So
mm. And do you think there's still a stigma attached with being a loner or having very little friends?
yes, yes, people are looked at like there's something wrong with them. Like,
Mm,
wow, nobody wants to hang out with you. What's wrong with you?
mhm,
But honestly, it's less of a headache when you are okay with, spending time to yourself. Or because I feel like people who are loners, I mean, there are the category of people that people just ostracize and just make them feel like they're worthless. But then there's the confident loners that realize, like, my time is precious, my presence is precious, and I'm not just going to give it to any and everyone. So if
mm,
my son were to be a loner, I would love for him to be that type of loner, because he's intentional. He's intentional with who he communicates with. He's intentional with who he gives access to himself. And that's something that I had to learn later in life. Like, who you give access to, that's a privilege.
mhm,
I appreciate anyone. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you because you're giving me a portion of your time and vice versa. I don't take it for granted. You don't take it for granted. And I realized that in my seeking of being friends with people, a lot of my time was wasted. A lot of access to me was wasted, because
mhm.
if you think everyone is your friend and you tell everyone your business, and then the friendship soils,
That's
and
a
then they
really
tell
big
your
mistake.
business.
Yeah.
Yep. So you have to be just really intentional. So that's the thing, just being intentional. So if that loner is intentional, fine by me.
I also think I just wish more people could see being a loner as a huge opportunity to really invest in yourself, to work on
Mm-hmm.
your iman, to improve your fitness, to think about ways you can, I don't know, generate multiple streams of income, starting a new project, etc. Like you would have more time to yourself, and you can really use that as an opportunity to really work on yourself and to grow
Mm-hmm.
basically.
And I think it's important for our development to have time away from extremely socializing to learn about ourselves. Because
Exactly, yeah.
when we're kids, I remember when I was in college, I took gender and communication studies, and we were reading this book. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was just talking about males, specifically male children. They learn how to be a male, how to be a man from other male children that don't even know how to be a man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we learn our own gender socialization from our peers, because when we're like in that teenage phase, we're not really listening to our parents. We think they know it all. They don't know what we're going through, forgetting that they weren't once where we were. So we
Exactly.
turn to our social media, we turn to our friends to kind of like learn about menstruation, sex, drugs, whatever, and not realizing this person hasn't lived life long enough to know either. So a lot of what we learn about ourselves is learning through the eyes of our friend that doesn't really know either. So when you get older and you start to kind of like realize, wait a minute, I need to kind of like sit with myself. I need to kind of learn myself. You can
Mm,
actually be a better friend because you know yourself and you actually know what you want in your relationships.
mhm.
Yep.
Wow. And that would honestly be a really big mistake if he just relied on if you're a teenager and you relied on social media and your friends as your role models, because like think about all the weirdos that are on social media. Like not everyone has their best interest at I mean, not everyone would have your best interest at heart, right?
Right. That's correct.
And I'm not sure if you heard about this, but I think several months ago, this trans activist got called out for trying to lure in children to his private Patreon, where he wanted to teach them.
No,
You didn't? His
no,
name is
I
Living
did not hear
Heart.
about that. I've been living under a
Have you heard
rock
of,
if I didn't.
have you
No, I
heard of
haven't.
him?
Tell me more.
I don't know much, but I do remember several months ago there was this huge controversy about this individual. He got called out by several other people online for trying to lure in children to his Patreon where he would offer private sex lessons. And that was creepy. And
See,
that's a huge red flag.
that's another topic when you think about um influence. Like the big thing now, the big trend now is, am I really a female? Am I really a male? Am I really born this way, or did God make a mistake and I'm born a female, but really I should have been a male? You have people projecting their own opinions and beliefs about gender and sex and sexuality on very young kids who are impressionable. And even in their friendships, they are changing their identity, not based on just a feeling or a conversation or an impulse that they have with their friends. And if they're able to do that without true consideration at such an early age, just imagine the ways that, you know, friendships can just change a person completely. And this is just talking about children, you know.
Yeah.
um just to, oh, that's weird. Like, oh, sick. I'm glad he was called out on that.
Yeah, I'm glad to, and not just him. I mean, there's also OnlyFans girls and toxic red pill people. You've heard of that, right?
Mhm.
Like
I
for
have, I have.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's
That's what
just
I was telling you. That's what I was telling you. Like with podcasts in general, like there's so many extremely opinionated people on a variety of topics,
and
and
not
I'm even witnessing as an adult how these podcasts are shifting people's thoughts, and they're not critically thinking. They're just listening to a podcast. They like the speaker on that podcast, and they will completely after an episode change their own viewpoint about something without critically thinking. And that
mm,
just shows non-friendship influence as well, because they like those people, and if they could be in the same room with them and those people like them, that would be the icing on the cake. But I think a lot of us are not really critically thinking a lot lately.
mm. Social media is a dangerous world.
Yes, it is. I was on social media since the age of 12, and I can say that I am not on social media anymore. I don't have a Twitter or X. I don't have a Snapchat. I don't have an Instagram, a Facebook. I cut the cord between me and social media. So that's probably why I didn't hear about that gentleman, because it's funny.
He's
I
not a
don't miss.
gentleman, trust me.
Oh, oh, as a woman.
No,
Oh,
no, 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 no. He is a man, but I would not call him a
oh
gentleman.
no, he's not a gentleman. He's a sicko psycho. You're right about that. Sick. I did not hear about that sicko psycho. I was trying to be respectful. But a lot of information that I get about, the world, whether it's pop culture or,
Yeah.
just events that's going around, I was getting a lot of that information from social media, and I realized not being on it anymore, I literally have to be intentional about seeking information, because I
Yeah.
don't have to scroll anymore to hear about stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, Key, it was lovely having you back, and thank you for joining me again. I had a very interesting discussion with you. Thank you, and I hope the rest of your day goes well. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks, T, for another wonderful conversation. Wa alaikum assalam.